welcome to Seeds of Wisdom, brought to you by From a Loving Place with author Rachel Wolf. I'm Rachel Wolf, and today I am so excited to have the amazing author, interviewer, and so much more, Bridgitte Jackson-Buckley. She's going to be bringing a seed that she's grown in her garden of her soul, which is letting go of judgment. So with that, Bridgitte, introduce yourself.
So nice to be with you, Rachel. So nice to see you again. It's been a while, but it's like we just pick up where we left off from.
I know, I love that.
So my name is Bridgitte, as Rachel just mentioned. I am a writer and author, but gosh, it seems like, yeah, I do some other things. I have an online bookstore, independent bookstore that is dedicated to books by women to celebrate the rich and indelible contribution of women to the literary world and handmade gift items by women. So I do that. Who else am I? What else am I? Like, I am totally a child of spirituality. Like, I delve into that deeply and constantly, and hopefully reflect that in my writing. I love to share messages that contribute to a rise in consciousness on the planet.
And yeah, I've watched a lot of your interviews on your
Okay.
YouTube channel, and I always get so much out of them. You just ask such wonderful questions, and you invite such wonderful guests. So it's wonderful to. Can you
Thank
tell it's
you.
wonderful? Lots of wonderfuls today. I'm
Yeah,
so
thank
excited.
you. I think like when you're talking to people, like for me, it's just a matter of like I ask questions that I really want to know.
Yes.
Like my curiosity is just so strong, and I
Yeah.
really I come from a place of just being sincere and like help me understand.
Yes. Yeah. Well, and it's that authentic line of questioning. I find it's just you can tell when someone's interested and when someone's not. So it just
Exactly.
makes it so much more of a heartfelt conversation when you can do that.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
So let's get into it. Letting go of judgment. What does that exactly mean to you?
Gosh, that's a big or wide, I should say, umbrella.
Yeah.
But when I looked at your email, like, oh, what the top, what topic would be your seed of wisdom? That was the first thing that jumped into my mind. Because I think judgment, whether we realize it or not, like it's pretty pervasive. It could be self-judgment, it could be judgment of others, judgment of a situation, a circumstance, an experience. Like when you're coming from the place, this should not be so. This should not be happening. I thought about that because I mean, right now, like we're in some intense times. There's a lot going on, and it's the propensity to look at the TV screen or have a conversation is like, well, this shouldn't be, they shouldn't be doing that. But really, what we're seeing is just an external reflection of the mass consciousness. And so we're in a sense, if we look outwardly thinking this shouldn't be so, rendering judgment on that, we're in essence judging ourselves. So that's just been a big lesson and ongoing practice for me these days. So it's probably why it was in the forefront of my mind when I read your email.
Uh, and you hit on so many heart chords for me because one of the things I had to start learning to do was to, instead of do that, was go, okay, so what if I don't like the way things are, what am I contributing towards it? It just helped me ask that question, because if I feed that same energy, I'm just contributing towards the same thing. The violent, like that the judgment is it's anti what is happening. So
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
it
mm-hmm.
helped me to really figure out what I can do and focus on what I can do instead of focusing on everything else out there. It was
Yeah,
less
yeah.
overwhelming to me.
I like that. Like, what am I contributing to it? That's actually a pivotal question because we're all contributing to everything.
Mm-hmm.
Thing is that we think, if I'm in my home by myself, sitting alone on my couch, thinking my thoughts, like, I'm never going to be able to do this. Like, I can't believe I'm in this place. Like, I should have learned this by now. Like, everyone else's life appears to be so much better than mine. You think that those thoughts have no bearing on the outer world. But because we live in a world of energy, a world of spirit, everything touches everything, everything. And so we can look at it as if, well, that terrible thing out there is happening and I have no connection, or you may not have a direct connection to it, but you do have, or contribution, I should say, you do have an indirect contribution if you're thinking these self-negating, self-sabotaging thoughts that's filtering into your body and reflected in your feelings, and you're walking out and your energetic field is emanating that.
Yes.
Go
Oh my God,
out
I'm
and
just
you're
nodding
judging it
so
like,
much.
and then you're judging what you're
Mhm.
saying,
Yep.
and you're like, what the hell is going on? Like, what is that? What is that terrible thing? But you are unknowingly contributing to it. And it's not a chastisement, it's
Nope.
not to berate anyone or anything, but it's just to have an awareness that the judgment really has no place. Like, I was listening to someone speak a few weeks ago, and she said it so plainly and practically. It's like putting all of the ingredients in for a vanilla cake, baking it, taking it out, and then saying you wanted a chocolate cake. If you're sitting at some place
Yeah.
having all of these judgmental thoughts about yourself or your home environment or your work situation, it is going to be reflected in the mass consciousness. So that's why it is so important to, I think, one, become aware of it. And then when you go into situations, whether you're by yourself, with your other people, to really sit with, where am I? What am I bringing to this situation? Why am I responding that way to this person? Why am I saying or asking what I'm doing? Like, you really want to be tuned into yourself, I think, to examine, are you coming from a place of love or fear or judgment? Where are you coming from?
I,
Mouthful.
I I knew I would love this conversation. So I just want to prove a point in this. So how we contribute to the mass consciousness and to the consciousness of whatever we're doing. So when I was preparing for this conversation, I took out Bridgette's book, The Gift of Crisis. I flip it open to a random page.
I love it already.
Yes, I mean, this is how this works. And I underline a lot of things when I read books. And so I open it to this page. It's page 163 in her book. And it says, I placed most of my attention on what was missing from my life instead of looking at what was trying to enter. I mean, what a perfect alignment for for the conversation of letting go of judgment. And that's how the universe works when we put something out there. I wanted to see what I had so that I could go into this feeling like, okay, I'm ready. Open it to that. That's the universe. That's what I absolutely love about how things work.
And I have experienced that so many times, and I know your listeners have experienced that as well, where you open the book with the intention to receive a message and you go to the exact page and paragraph that resonates with you. I don't even question it anymore.
No.
I just know, because there's so many ways that spirit, or whatever you would like to call it, speaks to you and connects with you. It's just a matter of, are you paying attention?
Yeah. Well, and uh one of the things I've learned is spirit, however we interpret it, will connect in any way that we are open to receive. And sometimes we're open to receive those messages in hard lessons. sometimes it takes those things to be able to get to where we need to go. For me, that was true. I was in a toxic relationship for 10 years, but it's what taught me what I needed to know to love myself. I didn't see how much I didn't love myself until someone else treated me that as bad as I was treating myself. So I needed to see that. And when I got out of it and go, oh my gosh, I can shift this. It was so empowering to me. I could rebuild in that way because it was my judgments against myself that was keeping me comfortable being judged so harshly.
I really wish that this was like, what we're talking about today. I wish that this was something that children were taught in schools. I mean, because it just seems like we would save so much time, having to go through all of this unlearning. If you just know from the start that you are creating your reality, this is a reflective universe. Like, and there is a part of your mind that you will look at someone or something outside of you, and there's a part of your mind that's not ready to see that that is you, that you are contributing to exhibiting the exact same behaviors, or somehow you're in energetic alignment with it in maybe in a different aspect of your life, but you wouldn't be having an experience if you weren't in alignment with it somehow. And to just understand that there's a part of your mind that's going to say, oh, it's that person. He's doing these terrible things to me. He's treating me terribly. He's not listening to me. And the part hides it from you because it may be too painful. It may be repressed or suppressed. You may not be ready to see it, but it is a reflection of you. And I know, like, when you really start to look at things like this, like what we're judging because what we think they're doing to us, it can be hard to see, like, gosh, like I have some stuff to deal with. Like,
Well,
I
and
stop
yeah,
here.
and thinking of it like, it's not about blaming or shaming ourselves just because we observe that we about becoming aware and taking responsibility and accountability for the energy we're projecting out. It's nothing to be shamed or blamed. It
Absolutely.
is just part of our journey, and it can become our power when we shift it. But
Yeah,
is
when you
if
just see it
we
differently.
victimize ourselves by beating ourselves up, that doesn't serve anything either. That kind of judgment is what creates the big part of the problem.
And that is so that's a I mean, you're making the good points today, Rachel, because it's like this is not about shame or guilt. And as far as judgment is concerned, you're judging yourself when you're feeling guilty, when you feel shameful, and it has no place there, because that just keeps you steeped in this lower level energy that you don't want to reside in. Like, you want to let go of that. But it's just an awareness, because you can't do anything to contribute to your own spiritual growth and expansion if you don't see what's there, if you don't see what lies beneath. And it's like, I'll say I had a situation a couple of weeks ago, and I'm in this. I'm deep in this. Like, I'm seriously into contemplation and introspection and all that. And I was having a conversation with someone, and they said something. They said some words that in my mind, I interpreted them. They were very inflamed words. And I just went from like 0 to 10 and like that. I was so upset, and it kind of shocked me at how quickly and how strong my anger was. And I was just standing there, like, almost not even recognizing myself, because I'm pretty calm. Like, I don't, but I was like, oh my gosh. So I was thinking, okay, we're in this time, we're in this special time on the planet, and everything that has not been dealt with is rising to the surface to be released, and we have to see it. And so when I saw that, I was like, oh my gosh, but thank goodness that I have a practice and that I understand that how I felt had nothing to do with what that person was saying. It was the meaning that I attached to those words and whatever it triggered within me and whatever belief it brought up. So I was able to take probably an hour to sit on the couch and like calm myself and your pressure points, go into meditation or whatnot. But no, seriously. But just to go through my mind and like, what did this person just reveal to me about myself? And even in that moment, not go into judgment of, oh, you're saying all these things, but you have this anger, because it truly is an unearthing, I would say, of the fear, the anger, the resentment, the jealousy, the shame. See it and release it. Let it transmute into love.
Oh, so many good and powerful points. I mean, and it's oh gosh, it's so true. And the
Yeah.
thing that I think a lot of people don't get is people who work on this stuff and write about this stuff, and we can live it, but it doesn't mean things aren't going to still come up for us. We're
Yes,
still in this
yes,
journey,
yes.
you
Because you
know?
can't, you can even go into judgment with that. Like,
Yep.
oh, I thought my vibration was, rising. Why am I having problems?
Yep.
Like, everything was supposed to be ice cream and butterflies.
Well,
That,
yeah, and going back to your original point of how things should be. Oh, because I do
yeah.
this, it should be. And it's like, but that's part of our growth. That's part of our beauty as humans is the journey we take,
Yeah.
and expecting ourselves to be perfect is not it's not realistic. It's
Yeah. I also
yeah.
I have a line in the book, like there's certain lines that I remember in the book that I still hold in my heart and practice, that life is not always linear, pretty, and clear. But I think if you just, I just love that so much, because like I'm not just saying this stuff and writing it, like I'm living it, to the best of my capability where my consciousness lies. But that you just keep coming back to center, just keep coming back to love, having compassion for yourself, and having compassion for everyone who chose to be here at this time, this intense time. And that, I don't know, this path is not for the meek, you know.
No, it's not. And gosh, I feel like the more we can just become aware of our being and what we contribute, and then being able to notice like your anger, it's being able to notice it. It's not having it. It's being able to notice it when it comes up. It's being able to go, "Oh, this doesn't feel good inside me."
Yeah, yeah.
It's and just how and allow that just to be a part of our journey without judgment.
Right. And even when some things come up, like you may not know where those strong emotions originated from. You may not know, but I really do think it's important to just be gentle with yourself and just compassion. Is like, oh, okay, okay, and not try to just force it back down and like, no, and I
Yeah.
mean, knowing like, okay, something like that is there, you can hold a space of compassion for yourself and know
Well,
that you must be moving through something.
and you made such a great point there of not shoving it back down, letting it come up so that we
Yeah,
can let it out. Because if we
yeah.
shove it back down, it just will just recreate it in some other way if we
Mm-hmm.
just don't
Mm-hmm.
acknowledge it being there. And I feel like
Yeah.
so many of us are taught to shove it down,
Yeah.
and we wonder why we have all these health problems because we're
Yeah.
like
Like just
shoving,
not, I
shoving,
mean,
shoving.
yeah, because some of these emotions and even the experiences that, many of us are experiencing these days are extremely uncomfortable. And we're having to navigate circumstances that we have never had to navigate before to this extent. We're experiencing situations that none of us have ever experienced. So it's like we are in this, I don't know the word, mosh pit that came to mind, of discomfort. But it's like at the same time, then I think of be in this world and not of it. But you have to have some sort of basis, some sort of practice, something that grounds you to help keep you steeped in these things that we're writing about, you know, non-judgment, having a peaceful and calm mind, and whatever it is that helps you to cultivate that during these times.
Speaking of practices, there are a lot in this book. So if you do not have it and you want some extra practices, The Gift of Crisis has a lot in there. So with that is the end of our episode. So Bridgitte, I thank you so much for being here. It was the exact conversation I knew it would be. Because that's this is what I love, is that you put out the energy and that comes back to you. And
Yes.
this is our relationship. It always has been with Bridgitte and
Mhm,
I. So
mhm,
I just
mhm.
knew that this would be a fabulous conversation. So thank you so much for being on today.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe that was 20 minutes. That felt like 5 minutes. I'm so happy to be here. Like, I'm beginning to think I'm incapable of superficial conversations. I love to go deep.
Me too. Deep fast. That's my way.
Thank you for having me,
All right.
Rachel.
Thank you. Bye. Make sure to follow the links that accompany this episode. You will learn a lot more about today's guest and see what they have going on now. You will also get all the links to follow them on their journeys if this seed resonates with you. If you like what you heard, remember to like, follow, and subscribe to FromALovingPlace.com and all its platforms. Remember to come back next week for another Seed of Wisdom.